It's an NRL news update. Subscribe to SEN League on YouTube and the SEN podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Now, Brooksy, it wasn't just Mitchie Owen that was getting you all fired up, because this morning, or today it was announced, St George Illawarra have signed Canberra prop Emre Guler, effective immediately on a 2-year deal until the end of 2026. He's played 93 games. That actually surprised me a touch. I didn't have him in for 93. And he's expected to join his new club today.
Photos on Dragons' Instagram account right now.
It's already there.
Training, running with Jaden Sewer. Not hand in hand, but very close. So, look, he's already settled in at the gong.
Like the famous, remember there's that famous photo of Fletch from back in the day with Paul Green running over the hill at Bondi and looking like a very just happy couple of footballers.
Well, there's similar signs there.
How good. Well, who do you put him as? Do you put him more in the Fletch camp?
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it seems like it might be a bit of a domino effect, guys. We saw last week Francis Molo wants out at the club, or asked for a release.
He was agitating for a release.
There was a bit of agitation there. So yeah, it feels like that might be the next thing to happen with the Dragons. So Molo might be on his way out now that they've got.
Who's being floated as a suitor for Frank the Tank?
Well, who would be?
Who's looking for middles?
Would your Knights be off the back of Leo Thompson leaving? Maybe a 2-year deal, 3?
Knights could be looking. Yeah, well, they're going to need to fill that Leo Thompson gap. I mean, they've got him for another 12 months at least. But yeah,
Roosters.
No
Jared. No Terrell May, who left abruptly.
Roosters
this year to go to
actually
the
a very good shout. Because they probably need middles as well. They've got young crew coming through, but yeah, they sort of need a bit of experience in the middle there.
Could go back to the Cowboys. They lost Hylam Lukey. It might be a 1-year deal. I know it was different positions, but to strengthen up that forward pack, potentially.
Well, as you pointed out, a lot of it now is just it's the number on the back rather than it's not as strict about where you pack into a scrum.
Exactly. Yeah, and you make the player fit, don't you? If they're good enough to start anywhere in the pack, you just make it work. But Flano Brooksy, he came out and said, I've said consistently, we need to bring another experienced middle into our roster for 2025. So experienced, yes and
93.
no, 93 games, but I'd suggest a whole chunk of those are off the bench. Only in for how many minutes? Half an hour, I'd say, maybe max in his time, Emre Guler. So experience to an extent.
Yeah,
there might be 4 or 5 guys in the Dragons 17 that will need to play the middle, with Jack DeBellin, a potential prop option, but more of a ball player, DeBellin. But it's a historic signing too, guys, because the Dragons do like to get their middles from Canberra. Mick Wayman was one of the great Canberra props, won a premiership 2010, and we can't forget Paul Vaughan. Played Origin at the Dragons, came from the Raiders, had barbecues. He was one of the fan favourite.
Big host.
And club favourite too. So, look, 2 guys that did some great things at the Raiders. Maybe Emre can follow in their steps.
There's a statue of Michael Wayman somewhere.
Yeah, down in Maruya, maybe?
Somewhere like that.
Down the Sapphire Coast,
maybe.
And
I'm not sure if it's the most flattering statue either. It's not full Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hey, none of them are. What's going on with those statues?
Yeah. We've got to get people with better vision sculpting. Yes. But it's good for Emre too, is because he has a connection to the Sydney area. I found he grew up around southwest Sydney, as near as we could get on the internet. But I think he played at Mascot. He played some junior footy over at Mascot. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's tied in a little to the St George area. That's sort of on the bottom end there. So and his parents, Marky informs us, have 3 kebab shops. What's up, Brothers Kebabs?
Well, I'm happy to inform you boys that they've expanded. It's now 4. So if you're in the Condell Park, Denham Court, Marston Park, or Gregory Hills area, get yourself a feed.
I can tell you, I've sampled the Condell Park one. Exceptional.
This is becoming almost like a kebab conglomerate.
Yeah.
Of sorts. The Gulers are building. There you go.
Is that? Do we know if that was the original? Maybe he's from that area. Maybe he's from Condell Park, around there.
Could be. Hey, it makes sense on the exit of Emre Guler. This is some of the competition that he had to what he was fighting against in terms of getting into that 17. Josh Papali'i, Joseph Tarpany, Corey Horsburgh, Big Red, Morgan Smithies, Adam Mariata, Basami Saulo, and Trey Mooney. So he was somewhere in the mix of all those. So you'd think probably career-wise, he's made a smart call. He's going to get a lot more minutes at the Dragons.
Yeah, that's a fairly strong middle. Joseph Tarpany too, the captain this year, going around for the Raiders.
You love him since you did the Raiders.
Mate, they did
gig.
I did a gig down for the Raiders, and they did a haka for him when it was announced captain. And I was told to hold some jackets for a few of the boys. They were scared they were going to tear their jackets.
The coat rack, Barney.
I was just standing off to the side when they were forming up, and I just happened to be standing where they sort of all gathered to go surprise him with a haka. And then they realised they're wearing nice tight dinner jackets. So like, can you hold these? I'm like, yes, I can, boys.
Not going to say no, are you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Imagine, it's going to be a rousing rendition if they're taking jackets off.
Exactly.
And worried about sort of splittage under the armpits. Mate. They're really going to get into their work.
And I think Joseph Tarpany, like in terms of, we talk about, those styles of leadership, and he has that presence that you want out of a leader on the field. They seem to follow him. They listen to him. Him and in his speech he mentioned that him and Ricky at times have butted head because they're both similar.
Right.
They're a bit
so passionate.
Bit both very passionate men. So
white line fever sort of blokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it. I think the Raiders are going to probably go all right this year.
Hey, Barney. West Tigers fans, this is emergency. Sound the alarm bells, because this is a headline that you don't want to hear. West Tigers co-captain Jarome Luai sent for emergency scans after suffering leg injury. This is broken on the Daily Telegraph. It's understood Jarome Luai suffered the setback late last week and had scans over the weekend to assess the extent of the injury. So they've managed to keep it somewhat quiet. This is off the back of them travelling north of the border last week for a gruelling 3-day army camp run by former police and army personnel. This is where players were pushed to their physical and mental limits. Well, it sounds like Jarome Luai's leg was pushed to its limit. Yeah. And it's given way.
What is his mental limit, you think?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's dark and scary places. I'm not sure I want to go there. So it's definitely more of a physical thing with Jarome. I think he can hack it mentally. I'd love to know what they were doing, because he's been through a lot of pre-seasons now. And I'm sure a lot of them very brutal at the Panthers. So to succumb to something, maybe Benji's really cracking the whip.
Does this reek a little of, because we got no details, does this reek a little of falling off a horse in the Blue Mountains?
Robbie Kearns.
Yeah.
Wayne Pearce.
It feels like we're not being told the full story, Barney.
Yeah, because some of these, they can get a bit out there, these army camps, like in terms of scenarios. All right, you've got a man who's captured, you've got to go in and save him in a raid or something. Like, I don't know if they're equipped.
Round one's promising though.
Okay,
like to say that he's up, like he's potentially going to be confident. They're confident that he'll be there for
Can't be
round
too
one.
serious. So Benji is basically just giving him the week off. So it doesn't sound like there's any rehab or anything. It's just basically go and chill out on the couch, watch a bit of Test cricket like we'll all be doing for the next week. So,
I don't mind if they do rest him for round one against Newcastle on March 7.
Sure
Just give him an extra rest.
But that's saying, so that a week off is to ensure he's ready for the first trial match.
Oh,
so I don't think they're worried about first season proper match. They want him back for the first trial,
which is probably important, because when you're talking new combinations, you probably want to get a bit of that underway before you rest him for March 7 in Newcastle.
Yeah. Quick update on Emre Guler's kebab empire.
Oh, yeah.
Stuart's text in. I know his cousin who runs a kebab shop in Cronulla Mall, so they're everywhere.
Mate.
So any more relatives or family members of Emre Guler running kebab shops, text in 0457 736 736 and let us know.
How about a van on the hill over there at Wynn Stadium, Brooksy?
We can fit a few vans on there.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Steelers had a few vans just drive up, but the new grandstand sort of blocks it. So I think they can only get a couple. Near the Windsock you're talking about.
You just need one kebab van there for What's Up Brothers, and then just to welcome Emre into the setup.
Yeah, it feels suitable.
Yeah, I like it.
Penrith Panthers, boys, they've gone up north, done a little raid of a Broncos young gun. This was Peter Lang broke this in the Western Weekender. They've poached under 19's Origin star Harry Armstrong on a 3-year deal, effective immediately. So maybe a little look to the future there.
Yeah,
For the Panthers. Armstrong, he's been part of Brisbane's emerging squad and a rising star of the Red Hill Club's pathway system, where he was viewed as a future leader of the Broncos engine room. Not often they let these sorts of players go.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because the Panthers aren't often, like, they're not short of their own talent farm coming through. So for them to think, okay, we're going to go outside our farm and we think this kid's good enough to go up and raid north of the border.
That's a scary thought.
That's a scary thought. And in that system too, like we see, players, less heralded players go there and absolutely hit another level. So that is concerning for anyone not a Panthers fan.
It is. And it's understood the Broncos were very keen to keep the under-19 star, but a visit to Penrith's Centre of Excellence during the side's finals campaign late last year, that sealed the deal.
What have they got that Red Hill hasn't?
Have they got a barber?
Has Red Hill got a barber? Ooh, text in if you know.
West Tigers just sacked their barber. So.
Maybe an external barber, not internal barber.
But looking at the haircut, there's some sharp haircuts at the Broncos.
The interesting thing with this story too, boys, Corey Parker and Ian Healy were talking about it on SENQ this morning, that he didn't actually have a contract with the Broncos. Like, they see him as like a potential star and leader, but didn't have a contract in place for one of the junior stars of their future. So I think just a visit, you had me at hello sort of thing here with Harry. A bit of interest, flew him down. There was a story too in that chat that Sam Walker, when he was negotiating, had to get his own way to and from Red Hill when they were going through that process. It got me thinking, you'd think that you would have a driver for or someone in these circumstances that would look after your potential.
If anyone could do with the driver for the players, it's definitely the Broncos.
Oh yeah,
I
mean for the June, if you're gonna throw everything at a player and show them the facilities, fly them down to Sydney and stuff, you'd think teams would have drivers and stuff to allow people to come and negotiate with
It's not exactly welcome
clubs.
to Belmore Leagues, put this shirt on, we're going to take a photo in the lift. It's like, there's certain clubs that obviously do that better than others. I would have thought the Broncos would be more across that myself. I wouldn't have thought. But is that a sign that they were the big one club in town for a long time?
I think it definitely shows that the power of balance has swung in the NRL when a Broncos junior, who they've touted as a future leader, is going to the Panthers, a team that already has so much competition in their juniors, and he thinks that's best for his career, not being in Queensland where he grew up and potentially be the face of a team that he supported growing up, and has that prestige in Queensland as well. So, big loss there, you think?
Yeah, worrying signs for the Broncos.
I'll tell you who we can ask. Joel Gould. He'll know all about this. We'll dig into it a bit more. He's coming up later on the show. And also Sats and the Rat. I reckon they might have a few things to say about that little deal as well. Hillstorm Hillary is chimed in off the back of our NRL news update as well with some semi-breaking news. Arvo Doyen fill-in run homers. That's been you, Barney.
Oh, I like that.
A nice little compliment there as well. Did you see Maika Sivo has done his ACL and out for the season in the UK? What a bugger. I was looking forward to him steamrolling a few poms. And he started off steamrolling as well. I think he had a pretty good start to the year. But he's going to miss the rest of the season. Officially been ruled out thanks to an ACL. That was after joining Leeds on a 3-year deal following 6 seasons at the Parramatta Eels, where he scored, what about this, 104 tries in just 115 games. Incredible record. So he was over there to link up with former Para coach Brad Arthur as well. But going to miss the rest of the year. Tough old road back now because he'd already lost a couple of yards of pace. Probably let him down the last couple of years. He was still a steamroller, as Hillstorm Hillary put him, but lost that pace. This is going to be very hard to come back from.
Yeah, I suppose a 3-year deal, I suppose, would make you think, yes, he will sort of make it back, but it's ACL's not a good one. Then you got to learn to trust it because he was also too being able to push off that leg for the step which he did occasionally. Like, he would barrel over blokes, but he could also step. So this is the getting that trust back in the ACL is going to take some time. And he is sort of, how old is he now? He's the wrong side of 30 for this sort of injury, isn't he?
Or just thereabouts, because he was a late starter in the NRL, only the 6 years. Yeah, he might be 31 or something. We might get Tourist onto that as he Googles frantically. But speaking of Super League, he is 31. Speaking of Super League, how many Aussies are over there at the moment? There is an absolute stack. Bevan French, he's been there for a couple of years. He's been absolutely killing it. But we've got a list of some names here. And also, not Aussies, but Englishmen returning there. Elliot Whitehead, he's going back to France. He'll be joining the Catalan side with Luke Keary as well.
Yeah, that seems to be, if you're going to go, that'd be the pick of the clubs, wouldn't you think?
Well, he
Lifestyle-wise.
knows. He's born and raised over there. He doesn't want to go back and live there.
Well, it's funny because his good mate Jordan Rapana has gone to Hull FC, and I wonder if he had a word about Jordan saying, you got any advice of where I should go in the Super League? He goes, I'm going to France. Hull's good. He's been thrown an absolute dummy there. Hull KR, JWH is going to roll out. Talk about steamrolling blokes.
Yeah,
they play a physical brand of footy over there, in terms of the hit ups and that, but they don't. The old joke is it's not as much defence, I suppose. You see a lot more high scoring affairs. So I'll be interested to see Jared Hargraves, Tyrone May, and Peter Hiku all at Hull KR. That's a decent little lineup of ex-NRL players.
Some other names: Warrington, Matt Duffy, Lachlan Fitzgibbon was one who I thought definitely left the NRL too soon to go to the Super League. I thought he was a good player. I believe have we got some audio here, Tourist, of Joel and Fletch, the original Doyens, talking about Maika Sivo when he signed for Leeds?
Because he's expected to move to Super League and link with former coach Brad Arthur at the Leeds Rhinos, where he will officially score 148,000 tries in his first year there, Brian.
Quite interesting, this, because my spies told me that he wasn't too fond of Brad Arthur. That's what I got told.
Yeah, but he's fond of the pound, Brian.
No, I know he is, but sometimes the pound isn't mightier than the coach.
No. Honestly, if Maika Sivo goes to the Rhinos and if he is fit, right, and plays the whole season, how many tries does he score? He could score 50.
Easy, because you remember the reverse. Let's talk about Ryan Hall, who just scored 1 million tries in the Super League, came out of the Chooks, didn't get one. Didn't get one try.
Maika Sivo could score. He could break records over there for tries.
And cheekbones. Imagine him just running over those poor little wingers over there.
Oh, what a signing he would be. 1-300 1170.
Oh, Joel Kane. Has he?
Wow.
Was that one hell of an early crow there that Shug rolled out? Semi. He did caveat with if he stays fit.
Yeah.
It was a big caveat, but he had him scoring 50 tries.
Yeah. That is that's a classic mocker. He's put the absolute mocker on him there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to we'll throw that to Joel when he's back on Monday.
Yes.
In this very studio.
What, you're still here? Well, you can see more on the Joel and Fletch socials and catch us live on SEN Radio, you beautiful humans.